Yep, we're back. It's Friday. What does that mean? It means this is the last show of the week and I'm not coming to work tomorrow. I hope it means the same thing for you. Good morning to Michael, first one in the chat on YouTube. Akela, you made it his second one in, so we got greetings and sals. Apparently Akela's greetings and salutations is taking form and burrowing into other people's vocabularies. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean, and good morning to you all. Yeah, it is Friday. What is it? The 23rd of June. My goodness, it's already almost done. It's already almost over. June is finished. I'm not ready. I'm trying to savor every moment of summer, and this whole concept of winter coming is not just from a TV show. It really is doom and gloom. I'm not a winter sports person. I'm not a shovel the driveway kind of guy. I'm enjoying the shorts and a t-shirt on the way to work. Really, really enjoying that. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where you can ask questions about traffic safety, traffic law, police stuff in general, and then we talk about it. So if you've got questions, we generally have answers. There's times we don't, and then we look things up. But for the most part, we know stuff, and we share that information with everybody. If you'd like to ask questions, we're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Kick. If you're on Twitter, we can't hear you, so go to trafficcop.ca, and you can link over to any one of our other socials. And also have great links at trafficcop.ca, things that can help you answer questions, and we'll get into those things in a few. A word from our sponsor. No, we don't have any sponsors. This is a show. Is the Toronto Police our sponsor? Maybe that's how it works, because they're paying me to be here, and we're here to share information. We want you to know stuff and things that will help you along your day. Not just be safer, but avoid tickets. Sometimes the safe part doesn't motivate, but the lack of tickets, well, that seems to motivate people. Why get stopped by police if you don't have to? Well, if you break the law, that's just you're asking for it, sadly. Had a great conversation with Kelly Cotrera before her mic went out, and then Jason Chapman, who's the executive producer of AM 640, jumps on, and we had a chat for a little while, and he was going on about speed being too slow. And this is a regular conversation that we have. He said that the speed on the highways, in his opinion, should be 110, 115, maybe 120. And I disagree, because I disagree that we should that you should go faster than the law. He's saying that it could go because it's safe, and I'm just saying it's safe where it is. I appreciate going the speed limit. I do it every day. And he was shocked. He wants to come on a ride along with me on my way to work to see if I really go the speed limit and what the benefits are. And does it really feel too slow? Which I don't think it does. I will tell you this. My drive to work is watching other people go too fast and then hammer the brakes. Slowing down, speeding up. They're burning more gas. They're running out of brake pad. I don't think they're being efficient, and they're certainly not as chill as I am. I am chill on the way to work, and I'm not panicking that I'm going to run into the person. I don't even touch the brakes the entire drive to work. It's cruise control, easy sailing. If I have to adjust minor corrections to speed, it's on my steering wheel. It's a button, and there's no braking happening. No need. Everybody else is busy running away, like it gets them there any faster. I bet you I get there within minutes of whenever they arrive. We got Kane, who is in TikTok here. Anjou Melanbois, is that what it is here? We got, Anjou's from Mauritius. Hello. I'm going to have to figure out exactly how many kilometers away Mauritius is. Ibrahim wants to know about bulletprooficity. Charles Mile, good morning. I got all sorts of people jumping in. Hey, if you're watching on any platform, please like, subscribe, follow, click the hearts, whatever you got available. Helps the profile, helps the channel see love from the algorithm. And no, we don't need more followers, but we want to share good information with good people. And you can help do that. You can help be part of sharing that information. If things aren't working, if you're not hearing me well, if you're not seeing something, if there's weird delays, let me know. I'm always interested to know and ensure that we are giving you the best quality image and sound that we can, because I think that matters. I'm just opening up a couple of windows here because we're going to be talking about Vision Zero enforcement. We're going to talk about careers because we are hiring. I'm going to talk to you about trafficcop.ca. I want to tell you about a raffle bike because we are supporting the Special Olympics Ontario raffle for a brand new 2022 Harley Davidson. So I'm going to give you all that information and more as we go. Of course, we're going to be answering your traffic and police questions because that's the whole point of what we do here. Yeah, it's going to be a day. And I am operating without the assistance of a producer today. JD is not here, which means it's going to go slow. All right. What we got here? First question was, is it legal to wear my... Well, no, we're not doing questions first. Okay, I'll do this one and then we'll jump into the other things. Is it legal to wear my hood up on my head while driving? Kane wants to know, essentially the question is, can you obscure a driver's view? See, if your hood covers your head and not doesn't block your eyes, and it really isn't an issue. But if you have if you're like Kenny on, what's that show called? Kenny, Kill Kenny, what is it? South Park. If you look like Kenny on South Park, you can't see, and that would be unsafe, and that could be careless driving. That could be obstructing driver's view. It depends on what we see. If it's affecting your ability to drive safely, it's a problem. So, just having your hood up and it's not obscuring your vision, I don't see an issue with that. All right, quickly, we're going to talk about Vision Zero enforcement team because that is important news before we go on to other stuff and things. I'd also like to know why carriage returns are being added where I don't add them on my tweets. I did not put a carriage return after 13th Division, and yet I see one on the screen, and that annoys me. Twitter. All right, where are they? Well, first of all, what are they? Vision Zero is a concept that is being used around the world, a thought process that suggests that we should be aiming for zero serious injuries and death on our road. I happen to think that's a great idea. Why would we want anyone to suffer serious injury or death as a result of a traffic-related injury or collision? Seems to be that it's reasonable that zero should be the goal, because not one life is an acceptable one to lose. I ask people, how many people should be acceptable to die? You know, what number is that? And people give me all these numbers. I'm like, if it was your family, how many would it be acceptable to lose? How many deaths would be okay? No one says, well, maybe if they don't like their family, but generally speaking, it's a zero answer. And it's not that that was my great idea. It was a number of videos that I've seen that have that question being posed to people, and you have people say, oh, 100 deaths a year would be okay. No, it really wouldn't. And then they get, well, if it's your question, it's a great question. And check out those videos. Traffic Accident Commission in Australia, the TAC, they have amazing videos that are not acceptable for playing in Canada because they offend people, and you can't offend people here. Gosh darn it, you can't offend people or you'll be in Twitter jail. All right, so today they are in 13th Division. Did I ever get to? No, I talked about that. What is Vision Zero enforcement team? I talked about what Vision Zero is, and I didn't really get into what we play, what role we play, because we don't change the way the roads are designed. That is not a function of the Toronto Police Service or any police service. We may weigh in on thoughts and ideas, but really our focus is enforcement and education, whereas cities and engineers design roadways to be safer for vulnerable road users. We try and issue tickets to educate through enforcement, and we do stuff like I'm doing right now, which is education through the internet. But we talk about these things because it's important to discuss. The Vision Zero enforcement team goes out and writes tickets every day, and they don't give out hugs, despite being asked on a regular basis. People want warnings. You don't deserve a warning. You break the law, you get a ticket. That's how it works, and that's what they do. Today, they're in 13th Division, Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar, Wychwood, Oakwood, Vaughan. They're also in 55 Division, which is the beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. I'm going to like my own post. I like it that much. It's a nice photo of a bridge on Queen. Okay. With that, let me see what kind of questions are going. My wife, Leo wife, saw that I am without a producer and has decided to jump in. I'm assuming that's what this message is. We'll be there in a few. All right. What do we have here? Let's go into, we have Ryan Pinn in Nova Scotia, driving instructor extraordinaire. Good morning. Barbecuing some burgers for lunch on this nice summery day. I think barbecuing is a good idea. I think I might do that later. Thank you for the inspiration. Ryan is full of inspiration. Okay. Oh. Michael has community disco lights. Good. Let's see here. It's not too slow. My average speed is some speeders. What is this? It's not too slow. My average speed is the same as speeders because they just stop seconds earlier at higher expense. So this is again, Michael's going doesn't speed but gets to the destination at the same time. If you look at what the overall distance of your drive is, and then you factor in the 15% if you're doing 15 over in a 100 kilometer an hour zone, you can calculate what your ultimate or ideal additional or early arrival would be. It's nonsense. It's not worth it. You don't get there that much faster. So what you're really doing is just burning gas for no reason or having some cheap thrills, which are really not worth it. Cheap thrills, we should all learn by now that cheap thrills are not worth it. Here, Kate, what is the question? The question about green P parking slips, are they transferable? Can you pay and then move to another spot? My understanding is no. You are only paying for the spot that is marked, and you would get a ticket if you went to a different one. The green P app is awesome for that purpose because you just pay minimal and then you reproduce or you re-up. Also, I neglected to say that my wife sends greetings to all, saying good morning from the fam jam. Okay. Lord Frederick has a question, but I want to first have a quick look to see if Abraham wants to know if police cars are bulletproof. They're not armored vehicles, although we do have armored vehicles. What I really want to know is, why do you want to know? It's kind of disconcerting. What do we have here? Let's go into Lord Frederick's question. I have a question about Section 158 of the Ontario Highway Traffic Act, I guess was what you're planning on. What do you do if the traffic on the highway is going above the speed limit and you are following if you are not going with the flow? What specific of Section 158 are you referring to? Let's see here. 158. Let's have a read. What does it say? Follow too closely. Is the charge related to so you want to know if everyone is going the speed limit and you're trying to pass and you're following too close because you want to ride up on someone to push them to go faster when you're following too close. No one's allowed to speed, so no one should be speeding, and thus if you are speeding and being obstructed by the people who are lawfully driving, I think you should take a chill pill, and whether you're the speeder or not. I don't understand why anybody, and I say chill pill, I'm not suggesting someone actually ingest pills for the purposes of drug. I'm saying chill out. No one should be speeding. I think we should have incredibly severe punishments for speeding, like I don't know, like vaporizing cars from lasers from the sky. I don't know. We need to do something because people are getting killed on the road, and speeding is part of it. You know, people try and justify speeding all the time, making up all sorts of nonsense, but it is nonsense. Speeding kills. They say, well, it's not the speed, it's the rapid reduction in speed when you hit something. Yeah, and you increase. What do they say? They say for every 5 kilometers over the posted speed limit, you double your crash risk. I didn't make up those stats. I'm just repeating them. That's pretty severe. Just saying. Yeah. Can I have a picture of my registration instead of a physical copy, a hard copy? You can have a photocopy, but it has to be a hard copy. You cannot have an electronic copy of your registration in Ontario. Maybe other jurisdictions do other stuff. The only thing you can have electronically is your insurance proof, and that is not a photo of your insurance card. You can't take a photo of your pink slip, which, by the way, you could always take a photo as a backup, but it's not a legal accepted option. You have to have an app that is provided by your insurance provider, an electronic copy that can be forwarded to, has the means to forward to police. You can't just do it. But remember, if your battery dies and you can't show it, you've still violated the rules. You can still get a ticket. Insurance card not surrendering is $65. Not having a hard copy of your vehicle permit is $100, $110. Yeah, with victim fine surcharge already in the mix. 85, 110. 85 is the actual fine. Is that fine? 110 is with the victim fine surcharge. If I paint my hood, side mirror, and roof black, do I have to report it? Hood, mirror, and roof, I would say you don't. It has to be, I would say if it was more than 50%, you know, if it's substantial. See, multicolor is what you would be changing your ownership to say. Mirrors, I would say it doesn't qualify. It's not significant enough. A stock vehicle could have different colored mirrors. Hood, pinstriping, I wouldn't say. Yeah, you know what? It's questionable. So an officer could say, well, you've changed it. It's not the same. I think if your vehicle is primarily one color, then it would be sufficient. Someone messaged me on TikTok. And to those watching, if you move over to YouTube or Twitch or LinkedIn or Kick, it's easier for me to find your questions. It will certainly improve the odds of your questions being heard. But TikTok, I am going to try and pay attention as much as possible. But I have 55 new messages that just popped up, and it's just me today until actually my wife said she's going to help, put questions in. So she's running 2 devices. And yes, Emma says, please put a Q in front of your question so I can easily identify questions on TikTok as being questions rather than simply comments and dialogue amongst those in the chat. Thank you, Emma. All right, doing my best. And my problem here, although the big problem is not having a producer in-house today, but the problem is that as I'm scrolling through, as new comments come in and the rush of them come, it just scrolls. It's hard to read. So let me if I hold on to this, it'll work better. I'm talking about the scroll bar. Someone wants a hug. Okay. Non-plated project car was illegal to drive, but they passed the sobriety test. What happens? What? No, I can't even, hold on a second. I can't read because it scrolls so fast. I'm going to just cut and paste this entire thing into another window. Stand by. Now, when I launch Word or text editor, watch everything crash. Do I even have text editor? Notepad. Okay, maybe I'll use Notepad. That's got to be like the lightest app ever, or maybe it's the most poorly written app and everything crashes. Dunno. So, Daniel, to finish off on your two-tone question, it can't hurt to go and report it. It's free to change it, but is it required? I don't know if your hood, mirrors, and roof are required. Leave it to Ryan Pinn to add levity. Can I lane split with my 1000cc e-bike if King Kong is climbing the CN Tower? I'll leave that one for the movie buffs to decipher. Goldwing Cone Patterns wants to know 128. I have a guess as to who that might be. Are we talking about, what are we talking about 128? Are we talking about HTA section 128? Unlawfully driving construction zone? No, that's not 128. Oh, speeding, just speeding. I'm looking at, I typed in 128 and I got 24 sub 8. What are we talking about? Or is that in response to the e-bike? Lord Frederick says to following the flow of traffic is are you saying that's in the HTA? There's no charge for not following the flow of traffic. What are we talking about? Break it down, Lord Frederick. If I call 911 because, my stand-in producer. If I call 911, let's see, because of a possible driver, but they pass the sobriety test, what happens? As long as you were being honest and you weren't just trying to swat someone, for lack of a better term, what would it be? What's a word instead of swat? I don't know. It's effectively swatting someone if you're doing it for the purposes of harassment. If you're just doing it because you saw someone, I've done it. I've called people in and they passed a sobriety test. They were really, really, really tired and on their phone though. You call based on your observations and nothing happens. Okay. So here's the follow-up. So you follow the flow of traffic on the highway, but what if it's over the speed limit? What do you do if you're following the speed limit? Well, you don't follow the flow of traffic if they're speeders. You stay to the right. If you go the speed limit or less than, you don't have to go the speed limit. That's the maximum, not the minimum. So you do what I do. Stay in the right, do the speed limit, and let all the yo-yos who want to break the law do it past you. And hopefully they don't hit anybody or cause any collisions. And then you just go to work or school or wherever you're going. But there's no mob mentality excuse. There's no, I was doing what they were doing, officer, and that's why I was allowed to speed. No one's allowed to speed. And I will write a ticket to anyone who speeds. I don't have a threshold. I do have a threshold, 2 to 3, 4 kilometers. I'm not going to write a ticket or even bother stopping someone. But for 10 kilometers over, maybe I'll have a conversation with you if you're the only person doing it. I am looking for the faster people on the road. Generally speaking, there's someone doing 20, so why would I pull over the person doing 15? But the ideal goal is to have everyone not break the law. Just don't speed at all. It would be so much easier. And then I could get everybody who is simply breaking the law. We normalize unlawful behavior by everyone jumping aboard going, oh, me too. I want to go faster too. Bothers me. JP McMullen. Okay, here's the question I started to read earlier. Officer said my non-plated project car was illegal, but it isn't built to be safetied yet and it hasn't driven and is sitting in my driveway. Is that okay? Some municipalities have bylaws that say you cannot have vehicles that are unplated in your driveway. It's actually rules in some areas. So it could be okay depending on your municipality, but if they're coming and telling you that it was not okay to be there, there may be a bylaw you're violating. If they're saying it's not legal for the road, well, you answered it. It's not safety and it's not for the road yet. But it depends on where you live. Some places don't allow you to wash cars in their driveway. Some places don't allow you to park vehicles unplated. Other places have maximum numbers of vehicles can be in your lawn, or not lawn, but many places don't want vehicles in lawns. They regulate the size of your driveway, how many entrance, like everything is regulated. You want to build something, you got to check and get permission first. So be careful. Goldwing cone patterns, of who I am suspicious as to possibly knowing who that person is. I wish distracted drivers would realize how much they slow traffic down at lights because they have to be honked at to get them to move. Yes, and some people that I enjoy spending time with would go and write tickets with me all day long to people who were distracted driving and at traffic lights. My partner in the motor squad, we would go and do this all day long. And there was never a shortage of people who were willing to use their phones while driving. We had fun for days. I say fun. I enjoy catching people breaking the law. Now, a boring day is when no one's breaking the law, and then I don't know what to do with myself. But don't break the law. You won't meet my friends. Okay. In terms of applying to become a Toronto police officer, how bad of a driving record is too bad to even apply? That's a very interesting question. And thank you again to my wife who is typing the questions from TikTok over. So now the TikTokers can know that you're actually being represented here. So I don't know how many. Here's the thing. If you had a record that was dated, it was when you were a younger person first driving, and you changed your driving behavior so that you have a clean record for 5 years, you might be okay. If you are getting stunt driving tickets throughout your driving career, and then you decide on Tuesday you want to be a police officer, chances are a horrible history will be considered too bad. They actually have on the, and might as well go to it now. Let's go to the website. Let's go to the website. Okay, going to careers, going to police constable. It talks about how many points you can have. Possess a valid driver's license with no more than 6 accumulated demerit points, permitting you to drive an automobile in Ontario with full driving privileges. There you go. 6 accumulated demerit points. They stay on your license for 2 years from the date of offense. So that's 2 years. I would say that you maybe even a questionable applicant if it's been within 5 years, but best to talk to a recruiting officer. Now, this is information on being a PC. We're also hiring all sorts of positions. We're always looking for good people. And if the position that you're looking for isn't available, consider something else in the meantime, because it's funny how it works, but you could become a police officer after becoming a parking officer or court officer or clerk. Let's see what kind of civilian roles are currently being listed. 10 jobs currently available. We have a senior writer, issues media advisor, lead social media, auxiliary volunteer, which is where I started, developer in the digital team, benefits administrator, senior analyst, senior programmer, solutions architect, communications operator. All great opportunities to come work for an amazing organization. You should apply now, because these positions don't stay online forever. They post and then they ghost. They actually go away. They expire. Boom, 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 boom. We're still talking about this apparently. You have to follow the flow of traffic on the highway, but what if over the speed limit? What do you do if you're following the speed limit? You don't have to follow the speed limit. Sorry, you don't have to follow the flow of traffic if the flow of traffic is above the speed limit. Stay to the right, move to the right lane, let the speeders pass. You can't control what other people do. You can only be responsible for yourself, and you should not speed. So you stay to the right and let the speeders pass you on the left. That's what the whole idea is, of staying to the right. In fact, if you are traveling the speed limit in the passing lane, obstructing and this is insanely, I don't agree with this at all. I think we should be able to do the speed limit in all lanes. And I think that those who choose to speed should something really rude. But Instead, some police forces will pull you over for doing the speed limit in the passing lane, even though it's lawful. Because, well, it's lawful to a degree because it's a misinterpretation of law. It says slower traffic, move right, but you can't have people who are unlawfully driving turn lawful drivers into slower traffic. Just not. It doesn't make sense. Laws are funny. You can't write a law that supersedes another law. At least that's not how I understand it. You can't say you're unnecessarily slow driving whilst speeding. And I've heard of people laying charges for unnecessary slow driving, laying that charge on someone who's speeding by 5 kilometers an hour. I've heard stories like this. Makes no sense. Can't do it. We wouldn't do it. Some places will do it. Okay. Can I pull an officer over for driving too fast without emergency lights? No. You can't pull anybody over. You're not a police officer, I'm assuming. Two, police don't have to have their lights on in order to speed. They're lawfully doing what they're doing. They're allowed to speed without their lights and sirens on. In fact, the only time that lights and sirens are absolutely required is when going through a red light after coming to a complete stop. That's it. Of course, we use lights to clear the road, tell people to move. We're communicating with those lights, but a requirement of operating? No. This is good. Michael says, Leo wife has an illegal project car? No. In terms of, we talked about this. Obstructed plate, question from Matthew C. Or Matthew may also be helping me out by bringing questions over. Either way, obstructed plate, very lightly tinted from Canadian Tire. Why is that an offense? Because no cover at all, clear border only, or the ones you get from the dealership, you're not allowed to put anything on your plate. Anything. Zero, zilch. Cannot obstruct your plate. Now, it doesn't even have to be tinted because even a plastic cover that is entirely clear, transparent, has a shape, provides reflection and can make it difficult to read. And a plate must be unobstructed by anything and clearly visible. I see clear plates that have so much glare from the sun, they're completely unreadable, and they're perfectly clear. JP McMullen says, okay, we already covered that. If I drive behind an active emergency vehicle on the highway during traffic, will I get pulled over? If there's a sign that says keep back 150 meters, you're within it, then I'd pull you over. If you're following them through traffic, you're creating an unsafe situation. We don't want you following us. Let the vehicle go, regain your place in traffic, and don't try and scoot past everybody else who's in traffic. If I ever find someone doing that, and I pull them over and I charge them. Not 158, but 128 in the previous question. So they want to know about, this is following up from the not 158, but 128. So they just want to know if they're speeding. If they're speeding. Yeah, if you're speeding, you're speeding. I think. I don't know what we're talking about. Digital driver's license still happening? Did it happen? Or did it cancel? So digital driver's license was something last year, the year before, was said to have been happening by the end of the year, and it didn't happen. It came, it went. There's major concerns about electronic security, being able to provide safety to your information, and I think that's where everything's hung up. At the moment, there's no news. So wherever it is in pending limbo, it remains. But hopefully that comes back. I think it would be great to have digital driver's license. But until it happens, until it can be done safely and securely, no news. We just continue to do it the way you have to have your actual physical license on you. That's the deal. I think having a photo is a great backup plan, but it may not be accepted by police. Certainly never send pictures of your stuff that way. Don't do that. Do our police chargers have V8s or high performance V6s? The public needs to know. We have V8s. Yeah. They go vroom vroom. Okay, question from TikTok on behalf of my wife, or my wife on behalf of somebody on TikTok. Officer, good morning. Motorcycle using the shoulder, yay or nay? Nay, you cannot use them. That is careless driving, ride on shoulder, ride off roadway, whichever one you want to take. It's not quite lane splitting, but it's sort of lane splitting. Lane splitting is generally between two vehicles. Shoulder is if it could be less bad, but still bad, just because you have more of an escape route, but it is unsafe and illegal. Okay. So we just talked about this, but can I have a photocopy of my driver's license front and back instead of a physical one? No. You may not. Must have the actual card. Ryan Pinn says, I would much rather call 911 and be wrong than not to call 911 and be right. I couldn't live with myself if someone got hurt and I could have prevented it. This is in relation to our discussion earlier about driving and reporting an a suspected impaired driver. 100%. I call every, if I would, so when I'm driving, when I was patrolling, I would see someone jog the center line. They would just weave over it once, I'd pull them over. I don't have to see someone all over the road. I'd pull them over immediately and investigate. Well, obviously that's not enough to take the average person into a 911 call. But if you're seeing obvious signs of something's wrong, it may not even be alcohol. It may not be drugs. It could be a medical emergency. That person could be having a heart attack, a diabetic event, so many different things that could result in someone getting hurt or being killed. Yeah, call 911. That is an absolute reason to call 911. Oh, so this is a follow-up to the question of the unsafe illegal vehicle and possibly in violation of, where do you put your unlicensed illegal vehicle that is not yet safetied or plated? In your garage, as opposed to on your driveway. If they see it, they would be asking questions as to why it is where it is, and it could be a violation. But in your driveway, you can do what you want. Not in your driveway, in your garage. Integrated taillights. Are integrated taillights legal on a motorcycle, a taillight that has a brake light and signals? They're very hard to read. And the issue is that taillights and signal lights must be discernible at 150 meters. At 150 meters, an integrated light is basically one blob of light that blinks, and you can't tell whether it's left, right, or otherwise. When you have them as separate units, they're capable of being deciphered. In fact, from a distance, they almost look like they're touching even when they are separate. But they're discernible, and that's the issue. So generally speaking, unless very well designed and functional in such a way that they're like large enough that we can just figure out what they're communicating at a distance, which if we're pulling you over, it's because we couldn't figure out what the heck it was saying. And some of them you can't even tell the difference between brakes and just the regular light. Can you explain how tickets work for cracked windshields? It's you're obscuring the driver's view. As far as I know, that's the only charge you'd lay for it. I don't think there's a, not great windshield lookingness. I think it's just the obscured view. For unsafe, though, because that windshield I'm not the windshield specialist, but I've never laid that charge either. So I've never testified to it. I've never had to explain my thoughts on it, which is clearly the situation that I'm sharing with you right now. The unsuredness of the charge. Okay, I want to show you what we have here. This is my link tree, and this is what you get when you go to trafficcop.ca. So what do we share here? We have links that are worthy of sharing. So you can go and send me a message, which someone did yesterday, and I have yet to respond to them. They want some help with information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, so I'm going to try and set them up with somebody to speak with. A link for the Special Olympics motorcycle, which I'll also talk about very shortly. What do we have here? We have all of the social media platforms, including the current episodes of TPS Traffic Jam Podcast. More to come soon. We have things like employment. We have all of my social media, including my LinkedIn. And then we have useful links at the bottom. You can start reports here. You can go and report collisions if you're a cyclist or pedestrian who wants to get a head start and not do everything when they get to the Collision Reporting Center. Also, news for you, if you didn't already know this, if you're a pedestrian or cyclist only, you can attend this building, 9 Hannah in Liberty Village, and this is an additional cyclist and pedestrian only Collision Reporting Center. You cannot bring cars here. Now, you can renew your license plate. This will also, I believe, get you to the right place for your health card and your driver's license if you don't need a photo. I think you can do a whole bunch of different things here, but really the focus is on plates because everyone forgot that they need to do it. They're getting tickets left, right, and center. Driver's license check. This is where you can check to see if someone's license is valid. If you're going to loan someone their car, you're going to loan someone your car, make sure their license is valid and not just a card that may have been suspended and they just chose to keep it or didn't have it on them when they got suspended or don't know because they don't read their mail and they were suspended after non-payment. There's a ton of reasons why people's licenses are suspended, and if you loan them a car, you are eligible for fines. Well, charges which come with fines. Want information on riding an e-bike, e-kick scooter? The rules are here. Check to see if a vehicle is stolen before you buy it. It's kind of good to know that you buy a car and it's not stolen, because you know what happens if you pay someone, a criminal who sells you a stolen car? You don't get your money back. The police will come and take the car away from you, but you will not get your money back. The bad guy or girl gets to keep the money, oddly enough. If we catch them, we catch them. But chances are the money's gone, the car is gone, and you're out of luck. If you're visiting Canada or Ontario, you can get information about what the rules are. You're moving here from another province, what the rules are. And then here, if you really feel strongly and want to compliment a member, maybe someone helped you out at the side of the road, or saved the day in their own special way, and you want to recognize them, send a message to the chief, you can do that kind of thing there. Cool stuff. All right. Sean Stewart, Dylan, Diane, Avi, all sorts of people. Okay. And thank you again to my wife, who's taking your messages from TikTok and forwarding them over to the main screen so I can see them. We're going a little slower today, but that's just because JD's not here, and my wife's doing it a different way, which is actually, I think, typing it. Like typing. Can you explain how? No, we talked about that. Is it true that the training to become a cop is free now and not post and no post-secondary? First of all, there's a misunderstanding about post-secondary. It's always been a benefit. It has never been a requirement. Grade 12 has been the minimum requirement for becoming a police officer since, as far as I have been around. I joined, and no requirement for post-secondary. But if you're competing with someone who has a university degree and you don't, and you're the same, you're awesome, both of you are awesome, but they have a degree and there's only one spot left, good luck. They're getting it, not you. It's just the way it is. The better candidate wins. And they weigh all your stuff. And if you're competing against someone with post-secondary, you're the same in every way, maybe it's some other thing that is good. Maybe you've got a nicer smile. I don't know I've never hired anybody here. But when you're the same in every way, but secondary school changes and you've got a specialty, they're going to have more points on the table. Now, to answer your question about training to become a police officer, is it free? The deal is that the Ontario government has absorbed the cost of police college. I think I paid $12,000 or $15,000. I don't remember how much it was. Maybe it was less. I had to pay for that, and I paid it back over time because they give you a no-interest loan. For the next 2 to 3 years, they're not charging anybody for that. It's being absorbed. So it's a benefit. It's like getting a signing bonus. If yesterday you had to pay $15,000, which I think is the current price, and today you don't, it's like winning the lottery. But if that's the only reason you're joining, don't do it. This isn't just a thing to do. This is a big commitment, a change of lifestyle, a high-risk job. It's the best job in the world, but don't do it because there's a $15,000 benefit today that wasn't there yesterday. I don't think it was ever a barrier to someone applying, frankly. Someone wants to know what my favorite childhood car or bike was. Do you mean like bicycle or motorcycle? So tough to answer that. I always liked the DeLorean, but did I want one? I always wanted a Porsche. But the one that I had a poster of, I had a poster of a Lamborghini too, but a Vector, it was the Vector. Was the coolest looking. That was like my favorite dream car. I don't even know if it's a good car. If you look up the Vector, what the heck is it? Let me pull it up so I can show you what this thing looks like. It is like a spaceship. What was it? A Vector supercar. I recently saw some videos on it. Here we go. They've come out with a new version of it. Let me share this. Sharing. That's the Vector. And I think it's a really cool looking car. Like that's just it's cool. I don't know if it's any good. And I think they were ridiculously expensive. But that was the car that I thought I wanted. I never saw one in person. Just the dream car. But I love cars in general. So there were so many cars. And my first car was a hand-me-down Buick Park Avenue that was maroon in color. I was lucky I had wheels. Never mind. I wasn't complaining. Here's the question. What should you do when you're turning left at an intersection and an ambulance truck is behind you? If you're in the middle of the intersection and they are behind you, finish your turn, get out of the way, pull over. If they're just at the intersection and their lights and sirens are not going on, just drive normally, because unless lights and sirens are active, which I assume is what you're getting at, like if you're in the turning lane and they can get around you, don't move. Let them get around you. Like, it really depends. Generally speaking, we want you to pull over and get out of the way. If it's a red light, you do nothing. You're waiting to make a turn. You wait until the light changes. You complete your turn. They should be waiting to activate their lights. If they're planning properly, they're going to go into oncoming traffic to avoid you altogether. They should never be stuck in traffic if they're heading to an emergency, unless there's absolutely nowhere for them to go. Kayla says we should go canoeing on the Humber sometime. Just play hooky. I don't know if canoeing is anything that would be in my future. I've been in a canoe. I'm not a canoe person. I like boats. I have my boater's card. I like boats. I'm not a boater, though. Question from Goldwing Cone Patterns. Since so many carjackings happen at intersections, I bet they choose distracted drivers first. You know what? It's very interesting. Bad folk tend to say, when interviewed, not specifically about carjackings, but how they pick their victims, and they usually, very often, especially when they're talking about when they choose to run from police, is they determine that, or they generally state that they thought that the person wouldn't catch them, and they thought they were disheveled, or they could get away, that they were going to be easy victims. I don't think I properly finished my answer. No, I talked about the car, my favorite childhood car, but I didn't talk about bike. If we're talking about motorcycle, there was a Hurricane 1000. I had a poster of that. It was silver, but I really liked the Katana with the flip-up headlight. And I watched a television show called, what was it called? Something Thunder. It was not Blue Thunder. That was a helicopter. I wanted a helicopter. Blue Thunder was a very cool movie. What was the Thunder motorcycle TV cop? There was always a Street Hawk, not Thunder anything. It was called Street Hawk, and that was the show. And that had a really cool bike with a flip-up headlight, sort of like the Katana. And I think it had a flip-up headlight. Did it have flip-up? Where's pictures? Images. Okay, and what am I saying? How do I even? Well, Chips. I didn't love the Chips bikes, but I love Chips. So here is Street Hawk and the motorcycle. So this was very cool for me as a kid. Come on, what is this? I want to show the. How do I get that over? I guess I just have to go full screen. There we go. Street Hawk, so cool. And this was like a dirt bike. This was a nothing special bike, but it could go into warp speed. It was it was a very cool, very low production quality. Or was it a high quality production for the time? Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that was a really cool show. But did I want a police bike back then? Probably not. Can you be a passenger in the bed of a pickup truck? No, it's not legal. The driver can only operate a motor vehicle or only have passengers that are in seats with seat belts. Years ago, it used to be that you could have people outside of seats with seat belts. That said, as long as all of the seats were occupied, then you had met your requirements, and then you could have other people, because it was like a loophole. That loophole has been closed. There you go. What do we have here? Kick needs to cool is, what is this? Big Jeff Fresh. Kick needs to cool his jets. I got 6 back-to-back live notifications when you went live. I wonder why. Is that for every platform that you subscribe to? All right, what do we have here? Chase, what's going on? One of Kerry's vids shows someone stuck in the snow on the 401. He tells them to turn off traction control and give it lots of gas. Isn't that Stunt? When you're trying, no, it's not Stunt. It's when you're trying to get unstuck, that's not Stunt. When you're in choosing to do burnouts, intentionally losing traction, and you're trying to, or drifting, that's stunt. That's different. This is, you're not going anywhere, and you're trying to get unstuck. That's very different. But it is a good point. It's not stunt in that context. Everything has to be in context. Everything has to be weighed based on the situation. And no police officer would give someone stunt driving who is trying to unstuck themselves from the ditch. Okay. Regarding, what do we have here? Regarding stopped ahead in the line at a red light with an emergency vehicle behind, what does drivers do via Leo Wife? You're stopped ahead of the line. If you're in the intersection, you're waiting to clear the intersection. Vehicle shows up. What do? You do it. You clear the intersection if it's safe to do so. You can't do anything that isn't safe. Just because the light's flashing, you can't just panic attack, go into the intersection, cause a collision, and so on. Everything must be done in safety. And if you're in the intersection waiting to clear it, hopefully everybody else has come to a stop. The rule says, if you read the HTA, the Highway Traffic Act, it says pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. Well, you're in the middle of the road. You got to finish your turn and get out of the way. And nearest curb or edge of roadway is not going to be pulling through the intersection to the right. That is going to be dangerous. Finish your turn. You've already begun it. Complete where you're going. Oh, is using your cell phone while going through a drive-through legal, or illegal, I should say? It is legal because that particular section of the Highway Traffic Act says, is only applicable to the highway, which is the road. There are rules like stunt driving that apply to private property. The handheld communication laws do not apply. So you are lawfully using your phone. Now, if you drive into somebody, you're still responsible for that. Question about the auxiliary hiring process. It's very similar, oddly enough, to becoming a police officer without the whole paycheck at the end of it. You apply, you come in for an interview. There is going to be, if you're selected for an interview, you would be a panel interview. They'll ask you a whole bunch of questions. Generally speaking, it is a behavioral events style interview, which means that they are going to say, tell me a time in your life when you dealt with adversity or conflict, and you need to have a story that you're going to tell that explains what happened and what you did. And oddly enough, you need to be able to articulate and reference the people and the times and possible witnesses. And if you mention your friend Bob, who something tragic happened to, they're going to want to talk to Bob and confirm that. So you can't make stuff up, or if you do, you better prepare to dance. They're going to do an in-depth background check. They're going to look back and they're going to talk to your neighbors and your family and your friends and your school. Like they're going to do it just like you would if you were joining the police service, because you are becoming a member of our service. You're going to have access to stuff that other people don't, and that's a security risk, right? You may have access to things. You're going to be in control of police vehicles after you're trained. You're representing us. More information on the hiring process is available on the website. Let me pull it up. Maybe there's something there that I did not see. Auxiliary volunteer. Looking for exceptional people. Canadian citizen, 18 years of age, or permanent resident, physically, mentally, ability to perform the duties of the position, have completed at least 4 years secondary school education or its equivalent, good moral character, passed the security clearance, as well as background investigation, which includes education, employment, personal history, credit, and reference checks. Credit is a big thing. People don't understand what credit checks are for or why they're relative, or why they're important. Let's say you become a member of the Toronto Police Service. You have horrible credit. In fact, you're a gambler with lots and lots of debt. Might you be trying to infiltrate to get information to sell to bad persons? Could you be manipulated by people who know you're in debt and need you to do things? That's why there are credit checks relative to applications with police services. Need to have a valid Class G with a good driving record, CPR, meet the medical requirements, do 150 hours per year, mandatory, do an 8-week training program. That's weekends and one night a week, I think. And there's some mandatory major events that you must be involved in. But it doesn't say at all what the process is like, does it? But you know what? Sergeant Wendy Drummond, who you may know from the employment unit pages is now at CPU, the Community Police and Engagement Unit. Community Policing Engagement Unit? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And I bet you if you reach out to the Sarge, she would be able to give you all sorts of information. Before it gets too late, and I really want to talk about the magic of motorcycles being a Harley fan. I'm a motorcycle fan in general, not specific to Harley, but I do like Harleys. I like riding police Harleys. I was a member of the motor unit, and that was the best part of my job until I became the TikTok traffic cop. In any case, want to win a Harley? $20 gets you one ticket, 3 for $50, 8 for $100. It supports Special Olympics Ontario. You can get to this page by going to harleyraffle.ca. You can also get there by going to trafficcop.ca. Did I say that? Harleyraffle.ca or trafficcop.ca. I haven't even said Friday today. I didn't say it. It's Friday. No, I said it. All right. There was it took me forever. When I first applied, I think it took over a year to become an auxiliary. It was a long process. The hiring process is much better now. It's all electronic. There's an opening. You apply online for all of our jobs. Computers made life better. Tinto Tozy, maybe things are different in Montreal. School is not out for summer yet where we are. But yes, things are changing. Behaviors are changing. People are out there doing things differently. Routines are different. When the peak times for people commuting in neighborhoods will change. So that is a good piece of advice. After police foundations is a question. And eventually it'll, there we go, click. I didn't click enough. After police foundations, how soon and what steps should I take to get hired? Well, first off, you don't necessarily need to wait. If there is a currently open posting, you can apply for it right now. And you could always finish your education later or wait, whichever you prefer. But we're hiring today, and if we fill all the positions, they may not be around tomorrow. Or maybe they will. But that's your risk to take. If you can pass the tests and meet the requirements today, I say apply for it. Just saying. But you would go apply, and then you would go through the process as explained. Go through the interviews. I don't know if they have a BPA. You need to have the appropriate certificates, though, for police constable. In fact, for most of the jobs now, you need to have the OACP certificates. So you got to get that in advance. But I wouldn't wait. That's just me. Okay. Interesting. The question was, is it legal to ride in the back of a pickup truck if there are seats and seatbelts? Well, I'm not aware of any pickup truck that is shipped from factory with seats and seatbelts. You cannot make your own seats and seatbelts and buckle them in. There was a guy who was trying to make jump seats and install them, and those are not legal. You can't have a passenger compartment behind the exhaust as well. And there's a situation. Sergeant Campbell keeps talking about this, but that there are exhaust issues and putting people aside from all the seatbelt stuff. There's other issues, not having a sealed cabin. I don't know. That's not my thing. I can't, other than referencing Sergeant Campbell, I don't know about that detail. But if you strap your own seatbelts to the floor, it does not make it legal. Anyone using the shoulder? I resemble that. I've had to go to calls riding on the shoulder, and I have had flat tires on motorcycles as a result of it, and police cars. Yeah, anyone using the shoulder is helping to pick up the nail screws and other debris off the road. Thanks. Don't do it. Do not do it. Is there a law that specifies children must stay rear-facing until the age of 2, trying to show grandma a law? Well, I'll tell you what my cousin says, and he is one of these doctor types who knows all sorts of things, and there's a rear facing to a certain weight, and I believe it's rear facing to 2 years old. No, now I want to see. Hang on a second. I keep saying I'm going to put this on my page. Maybe today will be the day that I do it. Ontario. Car seat stages guide. Putting all sorts of keywords here. Choosing a car seat. Okay, rear facing is required up until 9 kilos or 20 pounds, not age. Forward facing or rear facing, toddler seat, you can have either. But rear facing is recommended until 4 years old, according to doctors and people who know stuff. And that's That's from 9 kilos to 18 kilos. So there is no choice to go forward up until 20 pounds. Once you hit 20 pounds, the option to go forward facing is there, but it is strongly suggested you remain rear facing until 4 years old. Good luck. I couldn't do it. My children are, well, I'm 6'5". My kids are tall, and I don't know how to fold their legs in an origami safe way. It just became beyond reasonable. They won't be comfortable, but it's still safer. But anyway, once they hit 8 years old, under the age of 8, from 40 to 80 pounds, a booster seat is required. And if you hit the age of 8, if you hit 80 pounds, or you are 4'9", legally you can be without a car seat. No booster, nothing. However, it depends on other factors as to whether or not that's actually safe. If you're 8 years old, but you are 4 foot tall, I would suggest waiting. Reason being is if you are sitting with your seat, with your bendy part, if you put your back right against the wall of the back of the seat and your knees don't go over the front and you can't touch the ground, maybe that's not a good idea. There's a number of tests you can do to really determine whether or not you are ready for a seat without a booster, and it may just not, it's not worth rushing, because it's child safety is the reason for all this stuff. AJ the Awesome says, I have to go, but I'll leave this question. What would you charge, if any, what would the charge, if any, be for someone driving extremely tired without being under the influence of alcohol? So you're saying impaired by fatigue type thing? It could be careless driving. It wouldn't be impaired driving necessarily, because you couldn't substantiate the alcohol side of it, I don't think. I've thought about the impaired, but I don't think you can do the impaired. Certainly, I've never laid that. Careless driving would be appropriate. Not driving without due care and control. If I'm in a parking lot, can a cop come up and request a driver's license? You're not driving a motor vehicle. You're occupying the seat. Can we investigate you? What for? It's interesting question. In my current state of not being able to come up with a reason, you're operating, you're in care and control, I'm gonna say yes, and I don't think I'm wrong. I don't randomly go. Everything I've ever done has been investigating based on active use. But mind you, we can enforce the Highway Traffic Act when it comes to stunt driving. Like, it really depends. There's always a reason where it could, but you're saying you're in a parking lot. I'm going to assume you're driving, not parked in a parking lot, but you're operating a motor vehicle. Maybe you're stunt driving. Maybe you're, there's going to be reasons where absolutely we can request. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to double down. I'm not going to phone a friend. I need more about your question to really, like, are you just hanging out? You're in care and control. I think you're good for identification requiring it. I don't know why I can't remember this today. It's Friday and I've had less sleep than I'd like. That's the excuse I'm going to use. But really, I should look that up and have a better answer for you. If an accident backs up traffic, can you navigate off-road safely to reroute? No. You can't go off-road. You can't back up. Police will attend and they will direct traffic, and you got to wait. Can't drive on the shoulder and off the road and drive up embankments or turn around or back up to the last exit. These are all unsafe things you can be charged for. What are the current requirements for parking enforcement? You best to go to tps.ca/careers and have a look, because I don't know that offhand. But I think you do need an OACP certificate. What is this? Oh, okay. And this is in relation to a question from a while back, in relation to the integrated signals. Apparently, the Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Standards has minimum distances between signals and other lights, along with minimum brightness specifications. That is Goldwing cone patterns, and I now know exactly who you are. Leo wife just got pulled over. No, Leo wife did not get pulled over. Leo wife doesn't drive, but on the person that they're representing on the TikTok says, just got pulled over twice in 2 weeks for a total of 8 points and only have 4. What do I do? Well, if you're being pulled over for anything on a regular basis, you should reevaluate your driving. Why are you being pulled over? What choices are you making that are causing you to get in trouble? So, what should you do? Well, depending on what kind of license you have, first of all, you start with 0. You accumulate points. So if you had 4, and now you got 8 more, you're probably getting a letter in the mail. If you have a full license, I think you get to 15 before you get suspended. If you got a ticket for 4 points as a G1 or G2 driver, upon conviction, you are going to, because you actually get the points awarded, you're going to lose your license for 30 days on the first one, second one, 90 days, third one, you're going to lose your license altogether. Bad things are going to come. But these are indicators that you maybe want to think about your driving. Okay. Good morning to the Grinch. Is there a place to get a comprehensive list of what car modifications are legal versus illegal? I don't think there's a list publicly facing. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of places who don't even want you to know because they're busy selling you all the car parts. A trusted mechanic is a good resource. If you have questions about specific things you're planning, check with us first. But put it this way: almost everything's illegal. Truly, like if you do it, if it takes your vehicle out of spec or out of safety compliance, it's not legal. What do you want to do? Tinting your windows, very easy to become illegal. Remove your catalytic converters, absolutely illegal. Aftermarket exhaust, if it is no longer compliant and creates unnecessary noise, or you're removing the muffler or baffles, illegal. If you're adding spacers to your wheels, chances are they're going to protrude from the fender, and they're probably illegal at that point. You know, everything you do, if the vehicle is designed, and millions of dollars goes into designing a vehicle to be compliant and safe, and then people spend all sorts of money to make it unsafe, less comfortable, and they say it's for performance most of the time. Not really. Can I have a minor collision in Liberty Village while What is this? Can I have a minor collision at Liberty Village while walking so I can visit Nine Hannah? It's not that exciting a place. Don't get into minor. You could probably just come in to talk to the people in there without the collision and just say hello to them. All right. One more question. If I have my plate and registration up to date but still have the old sticker on the plate, can I still receive a ticket? If everything is up to date and the sticker, because this is what my situation is, I have an old sticker on my vehicle. It's kind of nostalgic. I don't know if I want to get rid of it. The issue is not here. You're not going to get a sticker here, or you're not going to get a violation here. There's no law that says you must remove old stickers. But if you're traveling in the United States, I think it's a good idea to remove it, because they may not realize that we've gone to a stickerless system, which means you have an expired sticker, and that is what I would call a clue for the average copper in the States to look at and determine that you're worth talking to. So they pull you over and have a conversation, then you have to explain why you didn't remove the sticker, or that the laws changed, what have you. And maybe having a printout of the articles supporting that we don't actually use stickers is a good idea, because not everybody in the States knows everything that's going on here. They don't all subscribe, although about 300,000 people do subscribe from the United States. I was shocked to find out that half of our viewers, or about half of our viewers, are American. What's the law on, I think you've asked me this before, what's the laws for transportation of firearms in vehicles, and what do you say when you get pulled over? Whenever I've transported vehicles and I've been stopped, I've been very open about the fact that I've got firearms on board, and they're being, you don't open up your firearms stuff to show it off, but letting them know and being able to support that you're licensed and things are properly transported, good thing to tell people. Can also set off some people who aren't expecting to find out that you've got weapons in the vehicle. Vector W8, that's it, yes. Someone wants to know about transporting alcohol between provinces. I have no idea. Is it true that it's illegal to transport alcohol from one province to another, including? I did not know that. If that is the case, I'm unaware. Keegan from St. John's, New Brunswick, asks, wondering, what are you? Huh? What are we? What am I? Who am I? Is that the question? My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service in Ontario, Canada, talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and stuff and things. And I'm feeling tired now. You may already have noticed this the entire day, but I'm just feeling like the week is I'm going to need to sleep tomorrow. That's what I think I have to do. Although there's a couple of things I want to watch on television, and I usually only watch television after the kids have gone to sleep, which is usually why I'm tired. Although I have not watched any, I don't think I've watched television at all this week. I've had no time. What age do you have to be to operate a motorbike? On private property, your own private property, there's no age requirement. Children can ride, mini bikes and whatnot. Obviously with the permission of their parents and safety things. And I'm not an off-road person, but there's no age requirement that I'm aware of. When it comes down the road, you have to be 16 to drive a motor vehicle. Now, you can't take off-road bikes on the road, but at that point, different rules apply. Earliest you can be licensed for a motor vehicle in Ontario is 16. The Grinch wants to know about white lines on the road. Is it okay to pass? As I see it all the time, it's my understanding that you shouldn't pass, especially on two-lane highways. The reason the line is white is to suggest that it's not a good or safe thing to do. Is it against the law to cross a white line, a yellow line, a solid line in Ontario? It's not against the law. But what happens when you cross the line against the advice of the line and you cause a collision? You're responsible. And the fact that there's wonderful evidence to say, well, there was a dotted or solid or yellow or what have you line, and the driver chose to ignore it. Well, that just goes against you in your case. But it's not illegal to specifically cross the line. What makes an acceleration illegal from a stop? Well, if you lose traction at any time during that acceleration, it would be potentially a problem. If you are causing people to jump out of the way for fear because you are doing something completely out of the norm, a marked departure from everybody else on the road could be stunt. If you're determined to be racing or alleged to be racing, that could be an issue. Okay, a question about what are the common types of collisions? The collisions we see more often than not are distraction related or speed related or a combination thereof. Alcohol related obviously happen. Alcohol and drugs are regularly represented, but speed and distraction being the largest one. We think that we are really good drivers, and then we try and change the stereo, play with our phones, wander off in our heads thinking about what we're going to make for dinner, and we're not paying attention. We're not focused on driving. If you're zoning out, if you're getting somewhere not realizing how you got there, and fatigue is another thing. These things all contribute. But collisions very often are turning or rear-ending. Those standard distraction ones. But we see all sorts of wild stuff. Thou shalt not say accident; it is a collision. Very true. The Grinch wants to know if I bolt down 2 seats of my pickup with seat belts, is that considered legal? No. Mind you, other places in the world it might be. It's not here. If bridge is being worked on and it's backed up in one lane but the others isn't, can you use? If there's a lane that's legal, you can use the lane. People do weird things. People line up and do really. If there's a lane that ends 400 meters ahead and it's nobody in it, you can use the lane. And zipper merging should happen. People jump into line and just sit there like lemmings. It drives me bananas. If the lane is there, it's there to be used. You're not supposed to pull out into a passing lane. Sorry, not pull out into an on-ramp. That's moronic. But if you're legitimately on an on-ramp and the lane ends up ahead, why do you jump in 400 meters ahead of the end? Go to the end and then zipper merge. Every other car gets in. It's smart. It's the way it's supposed to happen. Opinions on drive tests. Should they be longer, harder to ensure roads are safer? I think we should have a much higher standard. We obviously let people drive when they shouldn't be driving because we want to. Driving testers aren't driving instructors necessarily. They're people who can check box and have been trained to check a box. And some people get licenses they shouldn't, and other people say they have a really hard time. It's so random based on the interpretations and the observations of the person. I imagine that some people could take a test, and then we hear rumors of people being bribed or paid for. Like this, who knows? It's been a long time since I've been tested, and I got mine. But I think I was a magical driver from the first day I got behind the wheel. I also got professional training. I think professional training should be mandatory as opposed to simply incentivized, but that's just me. Can you have a black housing on your, I guess on your brake, on your, what are we talking about? Are you talking about headlights, taillights? Oh, wait, here's the rest of that question. Is the housing of a taillight is black, but lenses are clear, is it legal? If the light is functioning as designed and it's projecting light, like when you put a housing that's opaque, but you only let a certain area, you're reducing the ability for that light to function the way it was meant to. Other things may come into play, but the law says the light has to be discernible at 150 meters. It doesn't talk about, if you paint parts of it, not others. I wouldn't mess with things that are there to communicate with your intention to slow down or turn or stop. Is it mandatory to signal in roundabouts in Ontario? There's great information on roundabouts if you look at TIRF, TIRF.ca. They've got some published stuff about roundabouts, but you're required to signal your intention to make a move, to change direction. You need to do that. When you enter a roundabout, you're following the course of the road. There's no requirement to signal into a roundabout, but there is a legal requirement to signal out. You're changing direction at that point, because if you didn't, you would just continuously go in a circle. When you intend to leave, you need to signal your intention. It also helps the people who, I hate roundabouts. I love roundabouts and I hate roundabouts, which means I have a love-hate relationship with roundabouts. When you're in the roundabout, you are the right of way. People entering the roundabout must yield to you. And I find myself in a daily game of chicken whenever I enter a particular roundabout. Why don't people understand roundabouts? I think that should be part of the test, by the way. I don't care if it's a 100-kilometer drive to the closest roundabout, because they're not everywhere. I think roundabouts should be required on the driving test. Drives me bananas. Oh, God. Is it illegal to try and beat a train? Uncontrolled railway crossing, no lights, just it's the stupidest thing someone could do. And I say that without a care in the world if someone's offended. Do not race the train. People die all the time at trains. Just near my dad's place, a person was killed. And that had a railway crossing with arms. It didn't function. They got killed in their car. Trauma, tragedy, horrible things happen with trains. They are not toys. Although train toys are kind of cool. I don't have a train set, by the way, but I've seen some pretty intricate and amazing ones. Okay, I'm off topic. It is absolutely stupid for waiting 10 minutes, waiting an hour. It's not worth risking your life. And yes, if you cross, as soon as the lights are active, even if the arms are up, in your case you say there are no arms and no lights as well, that sounds like a horrible place to be. But if the lights are flashing, if they exist and are flashing, it is against the law to go through, even if there are no arms or if the arms are not down. Can motorcycles use the hog lanes? HOV. HOV lanes, yes. 400 series HOVs are eligible for use by solo motorcycle riders. What am I thinking here? But the diamond lanes, the multi-use lanes in cities and municipalities, it depends on what the signs say. Can we park an only tractor of a semi? I don't know what Toronto is, but Aaron is in earshot. Aaron, do you know if semi, like big rigs, if you can park a big rig on someone's driveway, or is that a complaint-based ticket? I think it's bylaw.
On their driveway?
Yeah, on their driveway.
Or in front of their driveway?
Well, on or...
On their driveway, I would assume that's illegal and probably a complaint.
Illegal? A complete... So...
Property, so unless you have authorization, it's illegal on driveways.
Illegal. Okay, so there's a belief that it's illegal. I think that on private property you can park most anything you want, except for the fact that there's bylaws in different jurisdictions, and you need to know what those are. So I can't give you permission. I would check with the city. Sorry?
Unless it's their 18-wheeler.
That's what I mean. If it's theirs.
Sorry. Then no, of course, it's not legal.
It is legal. Okay.
Yeah, if it's their driveway.
Aaron says it's legal if it's your driveway. You can't park. So I guess the assumption was as long as it's your 18-wheeler. But the big thing is there are bylaws, and bylaw enforcement. It wouldn't be. I don't think it's a parking ticket. It's a bylaw ticket, and you need to know what the bylaws are for the jurisdiction, for the community you live in. Is it possible to reduce a driving suspension? You could try and appeal, but probably not. Driving suspensions are applied by the municipality or as a result of a conviction, and not something that the courts necessarily impose. Well, Kayla says that fatigue is impaired. Well, no, it is impairment, but I don't think we can charge you for impaired driving. I don't think we can actually do it, but maybe I'm wrong. And yes, Michael, you're correct, and that's where I was going, that stunt or dangerous in a parking lot is a reason to make a demand for documents in private property. However, I don't know if the context was if they're just sitting in a car. That's where I was like questioning, but if it wasn't related to an investigation, I don't know. I'm not on the ball for all questions today, apparently. Thoughts on going 30 over in the passing lane? Ticket. 30 over is a good ticket. I've charged people for 20 over in the passing lane because you're not allowed to speed. Do police cars automatically detect the speed of cars around them? If they have the appropriate equipment on them and they're being used, it's not an automatic thing. We don't just wait to get notified. Do police cars automatically detect? It's the same one twice. Oh, why did they issue me a sticker for my 2020 or for 2023 when I registered my truck and I had to pay? Why did they issue it? Because your vehicle is probably over 3,000 pounds and not covered under the no sticker deal. Some vehicles require them. What are the restrictions of the G2 license? Primarily 0 blood alcohol content and a restriction of the number of people under the age of 20 that you can have in your vehicle between midnight and 5 a.m. Okay, questions are now cut off. We're in dad joke time. So Kayla jumps in about lines. Crossing a line is illegal if a sign tells you can't. Yes, because the sign is what's enforceable, not the line. Okay, dad joke time. My pet crow flew away. I couldn't find it without... My pet crow flew away and I couldn't find it without my microscope? My pet crow flew... I don't get this one. I don't find the joke in this one. My pet crow flew away. I couldn't find it without my microscope. I'm really not getting this. Womp womp womp. I don't get it. I don't see the joke in that one. Maybe somebody can explain. It doesn't. Okay. I swear, when it's Friday, it's like people forgot they're driving. Be interesting to see if the stats. I wonder. That's interesting. Is Friday a more dangerous day to drive? So Kayla says, stay safe. Don't have a good day. Have a great weekend, or have a good weekend. I can't even read anymore. I'm tired. Okay, I don't want to stay safe. Don't have a good weekend. Have a great weekend. Yes. See, I already went with his old one. They would not go to Metro Zoo and box an elephant. Why duel with trains? Okay, very good point. In terms of racing a train, no, not a good idea. Oh, the Grinch has something to say about trains. Please don't race trains. We live in a train town, and so many people do it, and we have so many crashes. Don't do it. Yes, don't do it. Okay. So Chris says, thank you regarding roundabouts. We have a huge number of roundabouts in PEI. I've been 3 times, 2 failure to yield, and 1 improper lane change. I signal intentions. Yes. What is the distance that radar works for speed? I once upon a time knew this, but I can't think of that right now. I don't know. Oh God. Microscope. My pet crow, yeah. I won't read Johnny's joke, but it's funny. I went to an Italian restaurant and ordered pizza. I could not finish at the table, and the waiter asked if I wanted to box for it. Now I'm at the Metro Detention Center. That's funny. What did the evil chicken lay? Deviled eggs. Okay. Zombie says, have a good weekend. I share that sentiment. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go have a nap. Maybe I need to eat something. I don't know what's up. My coffee number 2, something's going on, but I am feeling it. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay safe, drive sober, do all that jazz. We'll be back on Monday. I think that's the next day that comes where I'm in the office. Yeah. I do see here a question on, what is this? Instagram. I always have this question. Can I cruise at 100 on the leftmost lane, which is known as the passing lane or fast lane? It's obvious people do more than 100 in this lane. Please advise. My opinion, if I were King of Canada, is that if the speed limit maximum is 100, that any lane is an acceptable lane to do the maximum speed because it's the maximum speed. Now, there are laws that the OPP interprets differently than I do. If you are traveling at a 105 in the passing lane, I've been told and I've had confirmed by OPP officers that they will lay a charge of unnecessary slow driving because you are causing people who are absolutely doing the wrong thing in passing and driving above the speed limit, but that you're causing a situation where someone's going to pull out and pass on the right and it's unsafe. So you are the cause of that. I don't agree with that. I would charge day in and day out the person who is speeding. That be the one who's speeding faster than the 105 person, by the way. If you are running slower than the speed of traffic through just being someone who doesn't want to deal with the baloney of the people, because so many people are just ridiculous about speeding, just stay to the right. I drive in lane 3. If there's 3 lanes, I'm in the rightmost lane more often than not. But it's funny, I put up a video where I was not in the rightmost lane. I was in the middle lane, and people said, oh, you're hogging the middle lane. No, there's a passing lane. You want to go faster, go in the passing lane. You want to go in the left lane. In the middle lane, in the right lane, if I'm traveling the speed limit, deal with it. But I do tend to stay on the far right. But when you're talking about the Don Valley Parkway, you can't always stay on the right because it divides. You get into these situations where you're going to have people who are going to the 401 from the 404, and you need to change lanes and plan ahead. You don't leave that to the end. So there you go. You gotta plan ahead. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll say it again. I'm going to play the traffic song because that's what I do at the end of the show. Talk to you soon. And be safe out there.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed, and watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
That's it. We're out of here.